Hello there everybody, how's it going? It's Jessie from Jessie Marie Does Stuff here on FlossTube, and I am here with a video on this Thursday, October 13th, 2022. Dark 13, dark October, this whole day is a vibe. I'm just gonna tell you right now, it was rainy and it's still pretty gloomy outside. It's warmer than it should be, but the trees in my neighborhood are starting to turn. Today is a whole vibe. And so I have my water in this mug from, this is Hand to Earth Ceramics, but I just thought it was perfect. And then I couldn't help but throw on my sweatshirt for the season. So we are here with a new video today. Before I tell you what we're going to talk about, I would like to say welcome to both returning viewers and anybody who is new here, who is here for the first time. I haven't filmed a video in very nearly, if not, nope, over 2 months. It's been over 2 months since I've done a video. And so if you're new, welcome. And also if you're returning, thanks so much. The long and short of the big break is I lost my FlossTube bug. My Stitchy bug is as active as ever, but my FlossTube bug went away. I was doing really good with the weekly videos at the beginning of August, and then I got sick, and then it's just really hard for me to be like, I could stitch or I could film, so I chose to stitch, and here we are 2 months later, and I feel the draw to make a video, but the overwhelming amount of things that I have worked on over the last 2 months has given me pause for coming back. So today we are going to talk about finishes. All about finishes. Both recent finishes as well as what I hope to be future finishes. So for me, for this last quarter of 2022, I am focusing on those projects that I think I can finish before the end of the year. And it's a significant stack. A couple months ago, maybe 6 weeks ago, I was watching a FlossTube from Brenda at Handwork Maniac, and she's talking about her 23 projects that she's going to get done before 2023. And I cannot finish 23 projects before the end of the year. That's not feasible. But I did sort of, it still got me thinking about some things that I think I can finish before the end of the year. And so I started compiling a list. And the list is kind of long of things that are either small enough or just far along enough that I think I could finish them this year if I focus on that task. And so then September hit and I got an early sampler September finish, and I was like, you know what? Let's do this. Let's just focus on the projects that I think I'm going to finish this year. So for this last 3 months, if it's not something I'm going to finish this year, if it's not on this list, then I'm not going to work on it, with 2 exceptions: full coverage and new starts. I do still have a few things that I would like to get started this year, and I'm actually going to show you some, if not all of those, once we get to the end. And full coverage is another one that I'm going to be working on this year, because I still have my full coverage WIPGO board, and some of my new starts are full coverage pieces, and so I still kind of need to pay attention to full coverage WIPGO. So that's kind of how that's going to go. So we're going to kind of do a bit of a mini WIP parade. I'm going to show you everything that I think I can finish between now and the end of the year. I just thought it would be a great way to sort of jump back in to doing FlossTube. I have no idea if I'm ever going to get back to something regular, but got to start somewhere, right? Got to start somewhere. So let's get in and let's talk about my recent finishes, because I have had 3 finishes since I last filmed a video, which is cool. It's pretty cool. So first up is Leo Grono 1872. This is a Welsh sampler, reproduction sampler, reproduced by Merry Wind Farm. And this was my task for Sampler September. I had 2, maybe 3 goals for Sampler September, but this one had to get done first. And so I did. I worked pretty hard on it, and I was able to get the finish. So here she is. And she's going to the framer here pretty soon, so better get her shown now. So there is my Leah. This is on a 32 count Belfast linen in vintage Meadow Rue, and this is making me look very pale. I'm not that sickly. Anyway, Meadow Rue, Lakeside Linens. And it is done using mostly Gentle Art sampler threads. So Melinda of Merry Wind Farm originally designed this with Gentle Art's wools, for the most part, and then a couple of DMCs. But she does provide a conversion to sampler threads. So I started there, and then I made a few changes. The major part of the flowers is done in Buckeye Scarlet, according to the chart. But for a bunch of reasons, I subbed out the Buckeye Scarlet in place of, I chose to use Gentle Art's Geranium instead of the Buckeye Scarlet. The house is done in a DMC according to the chart, and I use Color and Cotton. I use Color and Cotton for all of the DMC things. The center of the berries on the tree are supposed to be done in DMC, but it's very close to Antique Rose, so I just used the Antique Rose. And yeah. So this was my very first reproduction sampler, both start and finish. And the reason that I wanted to stitch this one, and I'm actually really glad that I finished it this year, is that date right there, 1872. 1872 is the establishment year for Virginia Tech, which is my alma mater. And so both this sampler and Virginia Tech turn 150 this year, which is really kind of cool. I would very much like to see the original, and I think Melinda has it on display at the craft gallery. She did some time ago. I don't know if it's still there, but I would very much like to see it in person. So anyway, I love this. I love this. I love this. I love this. After Leah, I had 2 more samplers that I thought if I worked really hard on them, I could get them finished. One of them, Marianne Aldred, I UFO'd. My stitches looked really terrible on that fabric, and I couldn't figure out why. I thought it was the Classic Colorworks because that's charted in Classic Colorworks, or maybe the orientation of the fabric was askew. I don't know. And then I looked closely at it and realized that I had started my stitches at the wrong spot. So when you're stitching on linen over 2, you're supposed to You're supposed to start stitching next to a vertical over. So a vertical over, not a horizontal over. And that can help your stitches lay a little bit nicer. On top of the fact that I don't know that I have enough fabric. I think that I might have scooted the sampler down too far on the piece of fabric that we were given in the kits. So I just decided to UFO that with plans to restart once I can get a new piece of fabric and get it started correctly, because I just wasn't going to fuss with it. Like, that was a sign. That was all I needed. So I moved on, and the next project I chose to work on was Anna Oman, 1873. And I thought I had my chart here, but I don't. But that's okay, because after 2 separate stitching sessions, rotations, I should say, not sessions, but rotations, I got her finished. This is so much fun. This was a lot of fun to stitch. And now I'm sort of breaking the law because I don't have a red sampler in the go, and I probably should fix that ASAP. But See, this one doesn't make me look so pasty. It's the color of the fabric. Messing with the balance. Anyway, off of that tangent. So yeah, so that is my finished Anna Oman. I stitched this on 40 count Newcastle linen in platinum from Zweigart. Platinum? No, alabaster. This is alabaster. Much brighter than platinum. And I stitched it using Gentle Arts Cherry Bark. However, I used what I would consider two very distinct dye lots for this piece. The eagle and all of the attachments, the leaves and whatnot, that is done in one skein. And then everything else is done in two skeins that were pretty close. They were pretty close. I had originally allotted one skein to doing the alphabet and the border all around, and then one skein to doing these floral motifs, but I ran out and I didn't have enough to finish out this bottom band of the border. So I was able to make it work. I love this. According to the chart, because she made some changes to it, it's not a true reproduction, it's more of an interpretation, but it's pretty close to a reproduction. And I finished it a week later, and she finished hers a year after Leah. Pretty fascinating. I would love to know what AR means. I would love to know what that means. So, anyway, very cool. Another Sampler September finish. The last is something that I finished a few days ago that I was not expecting to finish this month. And it's another one that I don't have my cover page for, but that's okay because this is what it looks like finished. So this is November Quilt. And this is a design that I was breaking up into equal parts to work on to get the finish in November, because this is November Quilt. And I just couldn't stop. I put this on the frame to work on for its section for October, and I just couldn't stop. I was like, why don't I just finish it? I mean, why not? It's not dark October stitching. It's not dark. I mean, it's got pumpkins, but for all intents and purposes, it's very pastoral and very quaint. Not dark October stitching, but I couldn't stop. And sometimes you just got to run with it. So I did, and it was super fast. Looking at it here on screen, it looks so small. It looks so tiny, but it's so intricate and involved because it's a Paula Vaughn. I don't know if I said that. It is by Paula Vaughn, and it is from the Leisure Arts book Quilts for All Seasons, which is out of print. I have seen some copies on Abe Books for about $50. It does have 12 designs in it, so $50 is kind of worth it depending on how many you intend on stitching. I intend on stitching them all, so totally worth it. I bought mine before it reached prices like that, but anyway. So this design I started in 2015. It was for a stitch along with a group that no longer exists. Cross Stitch and Discuss, for anybody who might have been around at that time. Yeah, I very, very infrequently worked on this, and then this year I made it my mission to get as many of my remaining 2015s finished. Actually, I started that last year, and it continued into this year. And once I finished August Quilt, this was the next on my radar to get done. And I recently got it done. And I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. This quilt block, this orange one here, definitely my favorite. This one was annoying. There are 3 colors of back stitch on that one. But anyway, I think it turned out really gorgeous. And I stitched it on a 32 count cream Belfast linen from Zweigart. I have enough fabric here to do another, and so I think January is the next one I'm going to stitch. like I said, I intend on stitching all 12, but I would like to have one for each of the seasons. And so I have August for summer, and now I have November for autumn, and then winter and spring are the next two. So I'm going to do January, and then I haven't decided which spring one I'll do next, but I don't really intend on starting any of those before the end of the year. Those will be starts for next year. So I'm going to not have Apollo Vaughn on the go for the first time in 7 years, which is weird. But anyway, gorgeous. Love it. So that is my November quilt. Okay, so that's all of my recent finishes. So let's go through the list of things that I think I can finish before the end of the year. Looking at this stack, it looks way more daunting than I thought it was in my head, but we're gonna take a look, and you can assess how delusional I might be. So, and we're gonna do this fairly quickly, but mini whip parade kind of. Living in this project bag by Jasmine's Custom Bags is my Mirabilia focus for this year. And this one is one that will definitely get done this year. This is one that, along with some friends, we broke up. We each chose a chart, broke it up into 12 equal parts, and we're working on it consistently each month to see the finish at the end of the year. So this is Bluebeard's Princess Mirabella, and I love her. And she is on a 32 count Belfast in NYX from Under the Sea Fabrics, and since I haven't filmed since the beginning of August, I think I have August and September sections done since you've seen this. Yeah, I think so. So I'm gonna show these pretty briefly, but I did get started on the seahorses, and I'm stitching this beads and all. So you've got all of the beads on there. I think if you check out my Instagram, I'm keeping an up-to-date tally of the number of beads that I've put on, and I think I'm at over 1,000 now. You can see her sparkle. Oh, she's so good. So good. Stitched using all of the called for beads and Cairn Water Lilies and DMCs. I changed her skin to 1/1. I changed the border to a single herringbone stitch because I didn't like the way it was charted originally. What else have I changed? 3 of the 4 Crynecks I changed to Petite Treasure Braid, but they're equivalents. So that is my Bluebeard's Princess, and she is coming along, zooming towards the finish. This still needs to be worked on this month, but she'll come out later in October. All right, up next, some of my charts fell because they're in slippery plastic, but this is the Farmhouse Christmas series. I have 3 done on separate pieces of fabric that are stored elsewhere, and then I have 2 more done here. So that would make 5, so I have 4 to go. 2 will have the borders, 2 will not have the borders, and they'll go on this fabric here. All of the blocks I am stitching on 32 count Belfast and flax from Zweigart, using the called for threads except for the white. The white I'm using the DMC equivalent because I just can't with Classic Colorworks bamboo. It's just, I can't. So, and then I am changing some of the blocks don't have the borders, but that's just a choice that I have made. So this one, if I look at all of these, this is the only one where I'm like, oh, I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to get that done because I never want to work on this piece. So hopefully I can make some time for it in November. Maybe? So we'll see. We'll see about that. The blocks stitch up quickly once I get going. I just have to be in the mood for it. And that's the part that I struggle with. Okay. Living in this Mama Lee bag. Mama Lee bag is the sort of brand name, if you will, of Emily C's bags when she's making them. And this is The Witches of Salem by The Primitive Hair. I don't have a cover page, so I'll insert one here. This is on a 28 count linen it's a Maran linen, which is not a Zweigart base. It's in Gold Sand from XG Design. And this one I thought I might try to push really hard to finish here in October. And if I hadn't done so on November quilt, then I might have seen that happen. So this one's going to probably carry into November just because I have a lot to go. There's a long list of names that I'm stitching one over one. And I don't have it charted out previously, so I have to do figuring, and it's a whole thing. And then I just have a lot left to do here on the bottom. So I think that this is going to be a November finish, depending on how the rest of this month goes. But this will come out this month. In finishing Leo Gronow, this replaced that with my daily 30 animal adventure. So it's going to get monthly love until it's done. And that is using none of the called for threads. Okay, up next lives in this fantastic project bag. This is an Evertotes project bag. And maybe this is another one where I don't know. I'm gonna try, but I don't know. This is Give Thanks by the Drawn Thread. And I haven't worked on this in a long time, and so I'm really anxious to get back to it in November because timing. But I love this. I love this design. I'm stitching it using DMC to replace all of the MPI silks, and then I'm using the called for dinky dyes on 32 count Belfast linen in Vintage Country Mocha from Zweigart, which is the called for. And I'm at halfway on the top. I still have the whole table to do, and the table is humongous. It's just a long stretch of two stitches deep. But each of these vases or planters or what have you, they stitch up pretty quickly. They have some specialty stitches, but none of them are very complicated. So yeah, maybe. We'll see how long it takes. I think I've done this in 4 days, maybe 5 or 6 days. So maybe. We'll see. We shall see. I love this. I love this design. I love drawn thread pieces. They are just so much fun. So much fun. Up next is the Blackwater Hollow Sampler by Stacy Nash Primitives. Gaked to finish this one. I love this design so much. I should be working on this today. Because I started this on Friday the 13th a few years ago. But then I had to restart it on 40 count linen because I had originally started it on 32 and I wasn't loving that. Anyway, this is on a 40 count linen from Color and Cotton, the name for which I cannot remember, so I'll probably put it down here. Using the called for threads for the most part. And forgive the parked threads. There's a madness to my method. I love this design so much. Yeah, I'm geeked to work on this again, and I'm hoping that I can get to this in October. It's not on the tops of my list this month, but I'm hoping. I love Stacy Nash designs. They are a lot of fun. So there is Blackwater Hollow. Up next is something that I should be a lot further along, but I haven't worked on it in some time. This is the Halloween Sampler by Cottage Garden Samplings. I thought that I was going to work on this every Sunday, and working on multiple projects in a day, sometimes I just can't. So this is going to have to see some more focused effort than that, less that consistent on a consistent basis, because I'm just not consistent with it. So we'll see. This is something I am hoping to get to this month. I'm not going to take it out of the Q-snap because it's in the same spot that it was last time, basically. This is 32 count Belfast in Tombstone from Color and Cotton, using all of the called for Gentle Art sampler threads. I posted on my Instagram stories a couple of weeks ago. We were playing board games late into the night, and my husband and brother-in-law were taking a long time to take their turns, and so I thought, well, why don't I try to stitch? Yeah, that lasted for about 3 minutes before I was like, I have to keep on top of these guys. They might cheat. So I didn't get to stitch a whole lot while we were gaming, but that's okay. So yeah, like I said, I haven't worked on this in forever and need to spend some focus time on it. So soon, hopefully. Okay, up next is a problematic piece for me. This is from the Sweet Land of Liberty book by Blackbird Designs, and it's this design here, titled American Eagle. I have a very hard time working on Americana. I don't feel too much American pride on a regular basis, so I have a hard time working on this, but it is in this list because I think I can get it finished, and if I can get it finished, then it's not a problematic WIP for me anymore, right? That's the theory. So I worked on this recently for a reason, and I don't remember what the reason was, and I spent a big chunk of time working on the house. So all of that house progress is new. It's new. This is on a 40 count Belfast linen in Stratus by Color and Cotton, and using none of the called for threads. Maybe a couple of them, but mostly not called for. Comparable substitutions though. I would like to stitch the flag upside down as a symbol of a feeling of distress, but this one is a little bit, it's not very straightforward. It's got movement to it. I thought about stitching the word America upside down. I thought about taking that out entirely. I don't know. I'm still toying with ideas on how to make this okay for me, because yeah, it just doesn't work for me. It just doesn't work for me. And what I stand for and the values that I have. So anyway, so that's that. Okay, up next is in this project bag, my beloved elephants project bag. And in here is my Dumbo. This is a terrible cover image, but it was the only one that I had. This is by Mandarinks Designs, and Mandarinks Designs is a Russian designer. I believe they have a website now, and so if I can track down said website, I will link it in the description box below. This is Dumbo, and I love this design. I love it. It is so much fun. It's such a fun stitch. It's so cute. It's so pretty, and I have been wanting to stitch on this. This is on a loud fabric. It is Florin, 32 count Belfast in Florin from Under the Sea Fabrics. And I have a good chunk done. So this, I think I'm going to make my focus to finish in November after Witches of Salem, depending on where I get with that. But I just have the tub and to the bottom to do on this one. And it's so much fun to stitch on that, like, I'm not even bothered. Plus, it's pattern keeper friendly. Yes, I'm a big fan. Love this. Called for DMC, the half stitch. Portions of this are all done. So, just full cross from here. Stitching on the cute little elephant for kiddo's bathroom. All right, couple more. Living in this project bag. This is by Vintage Owl Lady. Oh, I love this bag. And in here is Kindred Spirits by the Primitive Needle that I picked up in D-Stash last year, the year before. Can't remember. Stitching May and I started this in October of last year, and I am working on it today. So, I very rarely get to show something on FlossTube that hasn't already been shown on Instagram, but this is one of those cases. And I worked on it for a fairly good chunk this morning. I got quite a bit done this morning before kiddo woke up. This is on 40 count Newcastle linen in Stratus by Coloring Cotton. This is the other half of my fat quarter, and I am so geeked. This stitches up really fast. It's not a very big piece. Right here is the halfway point, so there's that. And then I've got a bunch of words to do. I mean, there's still quite a few stitches in this. I'm not saying that I'm going to finish it today, but it's going to be a quick stitch. This is something that I was supposed to work on the 13th of every month, and the way that I had broken it up, I would have finished it in August. So, yeah, I haven't worked on it. Before today, I hadn't worked on it yet this year, but I'm geeked to be working on it now. I am not using the called for colors. It calls for 3 silks. I am using Anchor Black, and then I have substitutions for other things. And I think I need to pick out a color to do for the words, which I haven't chosen what I want to do. If I want a green, a dark green, or a dark purple, or a dark blue. Maybe dark blue. Maybe dark blue. Maybe. We'll see. So I'm going to toy with that and work on this for at least today, maybe a little bit tomorrow. Okay, couple more. Living in this project bag, also by Vintage Owl Lady. I love this bag. I think it's just really kind of cool. It's just really cool. This is my in-hand project that I haven't worked on in months. And it is a penguin. Do I have a cover? I do. Forgive it's all rolled up. It's just a cute little penguin holding a candy cane. I started this for Stitch for Ukraine. And this is my in-hand project, like I said. And here's where I'm up to. This is also a Pattern Keeper friendly chart. And so if I would just work on it, it would be done. So that's my plan this month. I'm working on this while we watch shows. It's the 13th. I haven't done that yet, but that's the plan for the rest of the month. Try to get this finished here in October. And is this the last one? Yes, it is. Living in this project bag by Stitchin' Button. I love this bag so much. The gold is sparkly. This is a fantastic bag. And living in here is my Year in the Woods focus, which is currently the swans. And I don't think you guys have actually seen this here on FlossTube yet. I think this fell in that window when I decided not to show everything. But I started on this in February. And so this is block number 2 from the series. And I'm stitching it on 32 count Belfast in Night's Watch by Hand Dyed Fabrics by Stephanie. And you're going to see some things, and so I'll explain. I had previously started a design called Fight Like a Girl on this piece. And for a couple of reasons, I decided to UFO that piece. It's a full coverage design, and I felt weird about using a hand-dyed linen for full coverage design. And it also has some Harry Potter imagery that I would like to do away with or somehow change so that it is not so blatantly Harry Potter, because nope, no time for turfs. No space for a turf. So anyway, so I have been progressively ripping and then doing some stitching and ripping and doing some stitching. That's what I did when I worked on this, and I haven't worked on it since February, but that was the plan. I love this design so much. I love every single block that Vinny comes out with. I think we only have one left, and I'm sad. I'm really sad. Also, a quick shout out to everybody who said, Jess, you have to stitch the bat. You warm my heart. You warm my heart. I will stitch the bat. Trust me. I will stitch the bat. In the meantime, I'm working on the swans, and I can't wait to work on this again. I cannot wait to work on this again. This one might replace November Quilt for my animal adventure, and so that I can be sure to work on it next month, along with everything else that I have told you I'm going to work on in November. Yikes. Love. Using the called for threads for this one. So that is all of the things that I think I can finish this year. I know it's a lot, but if I'm not spending any time to work on things that I don't think I'm going to finish, then I can be focused on that task. So I did want to show you my WIPGO boards because WIPGO is a part of the conversation here. And so this is my main WIPGO board, and there are some things on here that I'm not going to finish this year, and so I'm not going to work on them. So I'm not going to be able to black out this board, which is sad. I'm pretty sad about it, but if by some miracle I finish all of this with time to spare, then maybe I'll try to make that happen. But Horror Movie Alphabet, Hocus Pocus, and Fantasy Sal, and Touching the Autumn Sky, they're just not going to get touched, which is sad. But I mean, mostly blacked out, and that's okay for me. That's enough for me. So that's where I'm at. You can see I have 4 bingos on this board, so I have $100 in Chatelaine gift card money to spend when I'm ready to buy a new Chatelaine. That's the way I'm rewarding myself for this board. If once I get a bingo, I buy a $25 European cross-stitch gift card for myself. So that when I go to start a new Chatelaine, I have some money already there. You know, it's chipping away at the goal of a new Chatelaine. Anyway, so there is that. And then my full coverage board has a recent change because yesterday? No, 2 days ago, I finished the page on Ravenkin. And so that was pretty exciting. No, that was yesterday, wasn't it? Yes, it was. So yeah, I finished the page on Ravenkin. So I made another bingo line. This is another one where I am not going to black this out. I can't. There are some more things that will get marked on this. I would still like to complete my page finish plan. So Alice in a Darnley Dream, April by Anna Dittman, and Quick Stitch Day and Night. Those need page finishes. So I currently have 1 full coverage new start paid for, quote unquote. So I need 3 more bingos on this board in order to start all of the full coverage that I want to by the end of the year. So I will need to finish probably this page on Personal Sunshine as well. And then one of the snow castles I can finish the rest of page 6. But I didn't bring any of this to show you today because we're all about finishes today. So that's the full coverage WIPGO board. All right. So speaking of the things that I am planning to start this year, I have no goals or anything about how far I want to get with them, but I just thought that I would show you them because it's fun to talk about things we're going to start. So tomorrow or Saturday, we'll see how it works out, Sammy J Stitches and I are going to start Madame Chantilly's Celebrate Halloween. And I am so excited to start this. I would like to stitch this whole series. She has a seasonal set and the major holidays in these stitched up tiered trays. So I don't have to try to compose a tiered tray. I don't have to stitch smalls, which is not my thing. I don't have to do any of that. I just have to stitch a bunch of these. But I think this is going to be really fun. I have made some changes to this. I am using black instead of 3371. And I'm also going to add in a purple, I think, somewhere. Where? To be determined. But nonetheless. And I haven't picked my fabric yet, but it's going to be a 40 count linen. Probably darker than the one that they used here. So that is starting tomorrow, Saturday at the latest. All right, starting on the 25th of October, that is my half birthday. And so for my half birthday, I am giving myself a gift of my HAED start that I have been craving for months. I have wanted to have a new start, and now I finally am eligible. And so I'm starting this on the 25th of October. So this is Little Wings by Jeremiah Kettner. And I'm so geeked. I'm so excited to start this. Let's see. I had thought about doing a stitch along. So if anybody is interested in starting an owl project or something that is for somebody else, I have a cute hashtag. Let me know if you're interested. Otherwise, I'm just going to start this by myself. But I'm geeked. I am so excited to start this. So, something that I am starting on December 1st. This is the Summer Montage by Janet Stever, charted by Pain-Free Crafts. I caved. I am caving. I can't help it. I cannot resist. Everybody's starting the Stever works this year. I love them all, but this one especially, I can't get over this one. The rose, this whole scene, the crab, the bee skep, the shell. I love this. I love this one the most. Summer is not my thing. I don't like summer, but I like this imagery. So I'm going to start this on December 1st because that's the first day of summer in the Southern Hemisphere. Because I missed starting it during summer. So I'm going to start it during somebody else's summer. So very excited to start working on this. I think, tell me if you think that this might look cool or might look terrible. I'm genuinely interested in your opinions. I think I might stitch this 1/2 on 40 count Vintage Country Mocha. Because I think that Vintage Country Mocha will be dark enough of a background, but the 1/2 might give it still this kind of more light feeling to it. I don't know. I'm back and forth on it. I don't think I want to stitch it on white. But I don't know. I don't know. So tell me if you think 40 count Vintage Country Mocha 1/2 if I'm being silly. So there's that. Okay, next is a quick stitch. This one's going to be super fast. Quick stitch, Once Upon a Fairy Tale 2. Just look at that stitch count size. It's humongous. This is not a quick stitch at all, but I need to start an Amy Stewart this year. I'm starting Supersize Max Color the Grand Library in January, but I would like to start an Amy Stewart this year because I wanna. And so this is the one that I think I'm going to start. This one doesn't have a planned start date. It is dependent on my full coverage WIPGO board more than anything. Maybe I'll start it in November. I have fabric. I can get threads. That's not an issue. So there's that monstrosity. For Vic Gable, Stitch and Button's birthday, we are starting a Bella Filipina. And so I will be starting Gaia, the Earth Goddess. I love her. Isn't she gorgeous? I am so geeked. I meant to pull the fabric that I plan on using, but it's The Dirt by Fortnite Fabrics. Very excited. I just have to check these threads to make sure that they're going to play off that fabric okay. But anyway, I'm geeked. And then living in this project bag, this is from Nicole's Needlework. She is doing some project bags here and there, and so I managed to pick up, I think this is a Lori Holt scrappy bag. Beautiful, beautiful. And this is something that I was supposed to start in September and I just never got around to it. This is Jane Walker circa 1800 by the Scarlet Letter. I am still planning on starting this year because I just love it so much. And I'm geeked. I'm just very excited to stitch this one. So that's coming at some point. I don't know when. So that's all that I currently have on the plans to start before the end of the year. I don't know that anything else is going to like jump out at me, but you never know. You never know. So that's everything. That's all that I had to share with you today. Thank y'all for hanging out despite the fact that I haven't filmed with any consistency in literal years. I appreciate you very much. And I appreciate you spending some time with me here today. I'm going to head off, get this edited. My family should be home any minute now. And so I will see you in the next one. Everybody, happy stitching. As always, be kind. See you next time.